Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Negative Externality, a show where we discuss negative externalities. I'm your host, Ryan Cully, and today, in the life of Brian, we are going to observe real-life examples of externalities that an average All Hallows student would possibly go through. Also, before we begin, my partner Joshua Ojo is working with me as well, so if you hear his voice, don't be alarmed. It's just him.
Well, in other news, there's been a citywide power outage caused by the overuse of electricity in the city. The power outage happened late at night, but fortunately, local electrical companies could fix it by the morning.
Looks like this negative externality is going to be a difficult one to overcome, and it's going to be interesting. But I know you're wondering right now, what is a negative externality and why is it negative? But he's waking up right now, so don't worry about that yet. I'm going to get to it in a minute, I promise. Oh yeah, look at that.
That's not looking so good for him right now.
I just wonder how he will get out of this mess and get to school on time.
He just found out what time it is? What a disappointment.
Alright, and now I can explain for you what a negative externality actually is. A negative externality, or an external cost, is the uncompensated cost that an individual imposes on others, or in economics, the firm imposes on others. Alright, as Brian's running to school, there are a couple of other things you will need to know to be a master of negative externalities, especially when it comes to graphs. The first thing is marginal social cost, which is the additional cost to society or a group. Marginal social benefit, which is the opposite, the additional benefit to society. Marginal private cost, which is the cost of producing a good for an individual. And finally, deadweight loss, which are the losses resulting from outputs that are greater or less than the efficient output. But if the marginal private cost is less than the marginal social cost, then we have a problem. It will cause a deadweight loss, which leads to inefficiency, and no one likes that.
Exactly. No one likes inefficiency.
Oh no, and someone farts in class.
That's the worst. Because of someone else, Brian has to suffer the consequences?
So as you can see, it is extremely important. Who passed gas? Lionel. What you are failing to understand, what you don't comprehend, is that most people have zero interest in smelling your flatulence. But most importantly, I have less than zero interest in smelling your farts. So you need to not do it.
Now this reminds me of a government intervention. The way the government would tax a firm when it causes a negative externality is the same way the teacher will treat the student, so he does not cause the same cost on society, or the classroom in this case. Oh no, this does not look good for him at all.
Just when he really has to pee, this happens? Can't people clean up their messes?
I would not want to be where he is. Okay, last class of the day. I wonder what's gonna happen this time.
Whatever it is, it better be big.
Gentlemen, that was Mr. Sullivan. Apparently, some idiot has stolen a phone. And since the culprit refuses to come forward, you're all staying late. So when the bell rings, ain't nobody going nowhere. And guess what I'm doing? I'm out ski. Sucks to be you right now.
Oh, wow. What an amazing negative externality. I wonder how Brian will get out of this one. But what can Brian really do?
Well, according to Robert Coase, he says that even with externalities, people can reach a solution as long as the transaction costs are low. When an individual takes external costs into account, they internalize the externality. Like if someone gives me $1 to be quiet.
Huh, I'd give $1 million for that.
But if I don't want to be quiet, I won't take the dollar because the costs are too high.
Let's see what happens.
Mr. Fagan, but we don't have anything to do with the phone. That's not fair. So, what can we do to internalize this externality?
Well, there are a lot of things you can do. You can talk to the principal. He's a little angry right now, so he probably won't listen. But, right now, I think the transaction costs are way too high.
Truer words have never been said.
As we saw, the transaction costs were too high, so it would not have worked.
Too bad for Brian.
Okay, the last externality of the day. Brian has to figure out a way to solve this.
Bro.
What?
Yo, stop playing your music.
What? No, my headphones broke.
I got a big exam tomorrow and I gotta study. How about this? If you stop playing your music, I'll buy you a pair of peppers tomorrow.
All right, I'll turn it off.
Wow. And Brian did it. He internalized the externality.
And with that, we are going to end the show. Brian had quite a day, but we hope you learned a lot more about negative externalities and how to prevent them. And with that, we'll be signing off. Make sure you avoid those negative externalities.